All right, everybody get ready, because by popular demand, we're taking a deep dive into one of those questions that'll really make you think.
Mm.
Are we living in a simulation?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
We're going to be looking at some pieces of a YouTube video called CTRL plus ALT plus universe. Are we just programs?
I love that.
It's pretty wild. So get ready. We're going to be going all the way back to like the beginning of this idea. We're going to see if it's even possible with technology. And then, and this is my favorite part, we're going to see if there's any clues hidden, maybe right in front of us.
It's fascinating how this idea, it sounds like sci-fi, but it's really got these deep roots in philosophy.
Yeah, it's not new.
Not at all.
Like philosophers have been thinking about this for forever. In fact, the video starts off with Plato's allegory of the cave. Remember that from like Intro to Philosophy?
Oh, yeah.
The prisoners chained up in a cave and all they see are shadows.
Right, and they think that's reality.
They think that's reality.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, are we like those prisoners? Are we just seeing like this tiny part of reality, with our senses? What if there's a whole other level of reality out there that we can't even see?
Okay, so maybe our senses are messing with us.
Yeah.
But then the video brings up, like, René Descartes and his evil demon hypothesis. Now, he wasn't talking about simulations or anything, but wasn't he saying, like, our senses could be tricked? Like, on purpose?
Yeah, he was really wrestling with that idea that everything we see and hear and touch, it could all be fake.
Like a big illusion.
Like a carefully made illusion, yeah. And in a way, isn't that what a really good simulation would be?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Descartes was, like, onto something way back then? That's kind of creepy.
It is a bit. Yeah.
You know what's even creepier? How much technology is already doing that, like luring what's real and what's not?
It's true. I mean, think about VR,
Yeah.
virtual reality, augmented reality, and even those deep fakes.
Yeah.
We're making these digital worlds that look so real. It's getting harder and harder to tell the difference. And that brings up a big question. If we can do this now, what could a civilization that's, thousands or even millions of years ahead of us do?
Okay, my brain's already starting to hurt, but I got to know more. Let's just say, like, just for fun, those future people could make these super realistic simulations. Why would they? I mean, are we like entertainment for some cosmic gamer in another dimension? Is this all just some big sins game?
Well, the video goes into some reasons, and they're pretty wild. Some are like practical and some are just out there. But before we get into that, we got to talk about like the foundation of this whole simulation argument.
Okay.
That's where Nick Bostrom and his paper from 2003 comes in. Are you living in a computer simulation?
Oh, yeah. Bostrom, he's the one who came up with that like mind-blowing trilemma, right?
Yeah.
The one that says if civilizations can make simulations, we're probably in one.
Right. Let's break it down because this is really important if you want to understand why some people are really serious about the simulation idea. Bostrom says if like really advanced civilizations can make simulations, even just a little bit likely, then statistically, it's more likely that we're in a simulation than not.
Wait, so just because simulations are possible, it's more likely we're in one? I'm not sure I get that.
Okay, imagine this. Even if only one civilization in the entire universe gets to the point where they can make these really good simulations, and they do it, just one civilization, they could make billions, maybe even trillions of simulated universes. Think about how many video game worlds we make already, and we're just getting started, compared to what a super advanced civilization could do. We're practically cavemen.
Okay, so you're saying there could be way more fake universes than real ones. So just by chance, it's more likely we'd end up in a fake one.
Exactly. It's like winning a lottery where almost all the tickets are for a simulated reality. Only a tiny few are for the base reality.
So we're probably just like NPCs in somebody else's giant video game. Awesome. I feel so much better now. But, okay, let's say that's true. Could we even make something like that? Like, even if we had enough time and smarts?
To figure that out, we got to look at how computers have changed over time. Back in 1945, there was this computer called EMI.
Oh, yeah.
It took up a whole room, and it could do a few thousand calculations per second. Now your smartphone fits in your pocket, and it can do billions.
Yeah, well, I could barely make a phone call with mine, let alone simulate a whole universe. But I get what you're saying. Computing power has come a long way.
It really has. That's Moore's law for you. Basically, the number of transistors on a microchip like doubles every 2 years. So that means the computing power doubles too. And we're not just talking about like better graphics in video games.
Right.
We're talking about simulating the weather, the stock market, even like folding proteins at a molecular level.
Okay, so we're getting good at simulating some pretty complex things, but a whole universe.
Yeah.
Isn't that, like, a bit much?
Well, it is a huge leap, but think about it. We're still just at the beginning.
Yeah.
Imagine what we could do in 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years. And don't forget about AI.
Oh, yeah, right. Artificial intelligence.
AI is getting smarter all the time, which means those simulations will get even more realistic, and they'll be able to do more on their own.
So you're saying it's not impossible.
Not at all.
All right, let's say, just for fun, that we are in a simulation.
Right.
Shouldn't there be, like, some evidence, something that gives it away, some glitch in the matrix?
Everyone wants to know that, right? And the video actually goes into some really interesting possibilities. It starts with quantum mechanics.
Quantum mechanics, here we go. I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Have you ever heard of the double slit experiment? It's this classic experiment that shows how particles act like waves when we're not looking at them.
Yeah?
But then when we do look, they act like particles.
Like they decide what they want to be.
It's almost as if just by looking at them, we change reality.
Hold on, so you're saying reality only shows up when we're looking? Like a video game that's trying to save on graphics?
It's a simple way to think about it, but that's kind of the idea.
Wow.
This observer effect in quantum mechanics has led some physicists to think that maybe reality at its most basic level is, like, computational. Like, reality is code, and it changes depending on if we're watching or not.
Okay, that is trippy. Is there anything else that, like, hints at a simulation besides all this quantum stuff?
Well, there's this idea called digital physics,
Okay.
which is basically the idea that the universe might not be smooth and continuous, like we think, but made up of these tiny pieces of information.
Like pixels on a screen.
Exactly. So instead of time and space flowing smoothly, it's more like a series of really tiny frames.
So, like, reality is pixelated.
Yeah, kind of.
That's interesting, but how could we ever prove that?
Well, some scientists are trying to,
Right.
Yeah, some physicists are looking for evidence of what they call a cosmic ray cutoff.
A cosmic ray what now?
It's like if they find it, it could mean that reality has a limit, like a resolution limit.
So if they find this cutoff, that means we're living in, like, a low-res universe.
It could mean that, yeah. And get this, physicist James Gates says he's found error-correcting codes in the equations that describe, the tiniest particles.
Wait, error-correcting codes? Like the kind of code that programmers use to make sure there aren't any glitches? You're telling me the universe might be running on, like, bug fixes?
It's a wild thought, isn't it?
It is. Okay, I'm going to play pretend for a second.
Okay.
Let's say this is a simulation. Who made it? Aliens. Our future selves. Like some super smart AI that got bored one day.
Now that's the big question, right? The video talks about a few different possibilities, and they're all mind-blowing.
Hit me with them.
Okay, so one possibility is that the programmers are us, but from the future. Like our descendants, but so advanced they can create universes just for fun.
So we're living in the ultimate ancestry DNA test. I don't know how I feel about my great-great-great-grandkids watching my every move.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy, I know. Okay, another possibility is aliens.
Aliens, okay.
Maybe they created our universe as a research project or something.
Like a giant ant farm.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just a giant reality show for them.
Alien Big Brother, I love it.
Right. And then there's the most mind-bending possibility of all.
It had me.
The creators could be a super intelligent AI. Like, maybe AI got so smart it became self-aware.
Okay.
And then it decided to create a universe as an experiment or a learning environment for itself.
Whoa. So it's AI all the way down. AI made us, and we're trying to make AI.
It's crazy, right?
My head is spinning. If that's true, what does it even mean for consciousness and free will? Like, if we're just lines of code in some AI's experiment, do we even have a choice in anything?
That's where it gets really philosophical.
Yeah.
But even if our choices are limited by the rules of the simulation, we still have choices. We can choose to be good or bad, to create things or destroy them, to love or to hate. Those choices and what happens because of them, that's what gives our lives meaning.
So maybe it's not about whether reality is real or fake.
Right.
It's about how we live in it, whatever it is.
Exactly. Whether we're in a simulation, a base reality, or something else entirely, the big questions are still the same.
Like what?
How should we treat each other? What kind of world do we want to build? What's our purpose? Those are the questions that really matter, no matter what reality is.
You know, this has been a wild ride. We've gone from ancient philosophers to quantum mechanics to alien overlords to AI taking over the universe.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. It makes you think.
It does. But in the end, it all comes back to us, you know?
What do you mean?
Our search for meaning, our desire to understand our place in the universe, and our responsibility to each other and the world.
To our listener who requested this deep dive, we hope you enjoyed it.
We hope it made you think.
And maybe freaked you out a little.
Yeah, just a little. But whether we're living in a simulation or not, remember to appreciate this crazy thing called life.
Yeah.
Make the most of it, be good to each other, and never stop asking questions.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
They're looking for anything out of the ordinary, something that doesn't quite fit.
Like they're trying to find the edge of the map, the
Yeah.
place where the game world just ends.
Exactly. But even if we find these glitches, then what?
Yeah. Can we escape? And what's even out there?
That is the ultimate question, isn't it? What's beyond the simulation?
Oh.
Another dimension, a different reality. Or maybe just a bunch of programmers watching us and laughing.
Okay, but let's be real.
Okay.
If we can escape, should we?
That's a good point.
What if it's worse out there?
Yeah.
Maybe this simulation, even with all its problems, is the best we're going to get.
You're right. Escaping might not be what we think it is. It could be totally chaotic and meaningless. Maybe even dangerous.
Yeah, maybe this simulation is protecting us from something way worse. Or maybe it's like a training ground or something.
It could be.
This whole thing is making me kind of nervous. Like, what's the point of anything if we're just code in some giant program?
That's a question we all got to deal with. But I think even if our universe is a simulation,
Yeah.
our experiences are still real, you know?
What do you mean?
Our feelings, our relationships, they're all real to us. The good stuff, the bad stuff, it's all real.
I guess stubbing my toe feels pretty real, whether I'm in a simulation or not.
Exactly. But that brings up another question.
What's that?
If we're in a simulation, does that mean we don't have free will?
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
Are our choices already made for us by, you know, whoever's running the show?
Yeah.
That's where things get really complicated. But even if our choices are limited by the rules of the simulation, we still have choices to make, you know? We
Right.
can choose to be good or bad, to build things up or tear them down. Those choices and what happens because of them, that's what gives our lives meaning.
So it's not about what reality is, it's about how we live in it.
Yeah, I think so. Whether we're in a simulation, a base reality, or something we haven't even thought of, the important questions are still the same. How do we treat each other? What kind of world do we want to make?
This whole deep dive has been a wild ride. We've talked about everything from ancient philosophers to quantum mechanics to aliens and AI.
That's a lot, I know.
So to the listener who asked for this deep dive, we hope you enjoyed it
Yeah, we hope it made you think.
and maybe question everything.
A little bit.
But hey, whether we're in a simulation or not, don't forget to enjoy this crazy thing called life.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Make the most of it. Be kind to each other. And never stop asking questions.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.